Mr. Smith, we have a big problem, she said on the phone, her voice filled with panic. When my senior colleague checked with the development team, they got angry and said, "This isn't the program we fixed. I have no idea what's going on. What should I do?" In her desperation, she turned to me for help. "Miss Smithson, first take a deep breath. I'm coming over right now. I'm Robert Smith, 30 years old. I work at an IT company as a help desk associate. Before changing jobs, I used to work late into the night every day, but now I'm just doing internal IT support. Each day is filled with routine work, and I lead an ordinary life where nothing special happens. One day, I was called into the CEO's office and given a new assignment. Robert, I want you to handle training for our new hires." It was a training program to teach IT basics to several new employees. Growing a bit bored of my mundane daily life, I gladly accepted the task. Among the 6 participants, there was a new graduate named Catherine Smithson. She had long black hair that was neatly tied back, and always had a calm expression. Her nose was straight and elegant, and when she smiled softly, the roundness of her cheeks added a touch of gentleness. Just one glance was enough to see that she was a beauty who stood out from those around her, and her talent was immediately apparent. Her insight into solving problems and her ability to quickly absorb new information made her a true elite. Oh, so this is the elite girl my colleagues were gossiping about. According to my coworkers, she graduated from a prestigious university and was a finalist in a programming contest during her college days. Everyone wondered why an elite like her joined a small to medium-sized company like ours. I wanted to make the most of this training opportunity. I didn't just teach. I did my best to provide support so they could acquire the knowledge needed for actual work. Responding to that support, Miss Smithson's attitude during training had a positive influence on the other new hires. "Mr. Smith, I was reviewing the content of this program, and when I searched online, I found a different method. Is the online method outdated? Can you explain it to me?" "Of course. All right, everyone, let's stop working for a moment and look at the method Miss Smithson found together. These days, you can find information on just about anything by searching the internet. What's important is the willingness to search and the knack for how to search. Since the IT industry evolves quickly, information on the internet tends to become outdated easily. I started a discussion with the other new hires about the programming method Miss Smithson found. Through this process, they began to acquire not only the ability to simply receive information, but also the important skill of evaluating and making use of it. Through experiences like this, the new hires deepened their own knowledge and grew as a team. I was excited to see everyone, with Miss Smithson as the catalyst, grow. The 3 months flew by, and the new hires were assigned to their respective departments. They always came to me for advice whenever something came up. One time, I asked Miss Smithson, "Hey, it's great that everyone comes to me for advice, but won't their seniors at work be displeased?" "Everyone, including myself, checks with our seniors at work beforehand, but we just find your explanations more convincing. You accurately grasp what we're struggling with and what we're anxious about, and you sympathize with us. That's why we trust you." In fact, I made an effort to do just that. I was happy to know that mindset was getting through to them. Miss Smithson in particular seemed to be demonstrating her talent in the department she was assigned to, but she would still come to me with specialized questions. "About this program, is there a more efficient way to write it? I thought you, Mr. Smith, would know a better method." "I see, Miss Smithson, your observation is sharp. Certainly, if we call a different open-source program, it seems like it would be more efficient and maintainable. Let's look into it together." Having the new hires rely on me changed my own motivation towards work. I learned a lot by teaching, and each day was filled with a fresh feeling. When there is a new hire like Miss Smithson, who is both good-looking and talented, and who actively learns and strives to grow, it's a great stimulus for me as their instructor. Miss Smithson was the center of attention at the company. In the short time since joining the company, her talent and hard work had earned her recognition from many, and she was featured prominently in the company newsletter as a promising new employee. The article also mentioned why she chose our company. It seemed she had several offers when she was about to graduate from college. Those offers were all from big companies. However, She was drawn to the vision our CEO had and chose our company. The CEO's policy was to provide diverse opportunities regardless of whether employees were young or experienced. She likely felt that here, she could test her abilities and achieve results with her own hands. Indeed, the reason I joined this company was also because of the CEO's passion for the company, so I could understand. Ms. Smithson's decision to come to our company stemmed from a strong desire to test her abilities and accomplish something through her own efforts. However, one day, she made a big mistake. She accidentally deleted the company's extremely important data. That data was a program for the security software our company had been developing for 3 years. The company's future was riding on this project. This security software was developed to protect companies and individuals from next-generation cyber attacks and was met with very high expectations both inside and outside the industry. A huge amount of R&D expenses had been poured into the development, and we were on the verge of announcing its release. The success of this software was a key point in the company's medium-term management plan and was a project that would literally determine the company's future. Actually, I knew about this situation in real time. One day, I received an urgent consultation from Ms. Smithson. "Mr. Smith, something terrible has happened," she said on the phone, her voice filled with panic. I was doing a security check on the latest program assigned by the development team. I was working on it with a senior employee, but something's wrong. Apparently, they had retrieved the latest program of the project in question from the program management tool and were working on the task of verifying its security. The first time we checked, the program wasn't running correctly, and when we checked with the development team, they said, it shouldn't not run, so check again. So my senior and I were checking, but we found what seemed to be a simple mistake, so we fixed it. She seemed confused. Still, the program isn't running correctly. When my senior checked again with the development team while sharing the screen online, they got angry and said, "This isn't the program we fixed. I have no idea what's going on. What should I do?" She was asking me for help. "So the program you thought was the latest actually wasn't." It seems so. I downloaded and verified the latest version from the program management tool. My senior checked it with me, so there's no mistake. But in reality, it seems it was a different program. We corrected it without knowing that and apparently overrode even the correct backup data. Her voice was trembling. I could tell over the phone how much she was blaming herself. With the latest program disappearing from the management tool, a big hole was opening up in the important project the company was working on. This was immeasurable damage to the company. I was going to report it to my boss, but he's on a business trip right now. I can't do anything by myself. I know it's not something to ask of you, Mr. Smith, but please help me. Hearing her desperate voice, all I could do was stand there. But I quickly pulled myself together. All I could do was my best to help. This wasn't just her mistake. It was a problem for the whole company. "Miss Smithson, first take a deep breath. I'm coming over right now." To be honest, when I got the call from her, I was surprised. I felt a strong sense of incongruity from the start. If she and the senior employee had followed the procedure, this kind of mistake couldn't have happened. Also, the timing of the occurrence was bothering me. The in-house judging conference before the release was just a week away. If program corrections became necessary due to this trouble, it would be impossible to make it in time for the conference. She had just started her career at this company and was facing the crisis of possibly getting fired in this way. Seeing her like that, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. I wanted to help her somehow. The problem was that the deleted data was at a level that couldn't be recovered with normal restoration software, and even the backup data had been overwritten. This would require very advanced work that demanded specialized knowledge and skills. But fortunately, I had the knowledge and skills I had cultivated as a former white hat hacker, and I also had administrator privileges as internal IT support. Yes, I could take on the challenge of data restoration that is normally considered impossible. This skill might be the only hope to save Miss Smithson and the company now. First, I started by calmly organizing all the information. I proceeded to check how the latest program was replaced and the backup was overridden, the specific operation procedures, logs of the tools used, and so on. After that, I was able to grasp what seemed to be the cause. Putting off a detailed investigation for later, When I started working on data restoration, Miss Smithson and the senior employee spoke to me with concern. "Mr. Smith, is there anything we can do? If there's anything we can help with, please let us know." "Thanks, Miss Smithson, but this is going to be quite specialized work, and it looks like it's going to take time. I'm fine on my own for now." "Thank you, but we feel bad leaving all the work to you alone, Mr. Smith. It's our responsibility in the first place, so please let us help with something." Saying that, the two of them were peering into my work. However, when it became clear that the work would continue late into the night, I told them again to rest. "I'll be fine on my own, so you two can go home and rest now. If anything comes up, I'll contact you on the company smartphone via SNS." When she started to say "but," I said, "It's okay, trust me." Though reluctant, they decided to go home after hearing my words. Even after they left, I was completely immersed in my work. Remembering how Miss Smithson and the senior employee were worried about me, I was able to concentrate even more with the thought of not wanting to let them down. Looking at the clock, it was already late at night. In the quiet office, only the sound of typing on the keyboard echoed. Still, the trust and expectations shown by Miss Smithson and the senior employee supported me. Even after they were gone, their warm feelings stayed with me the whole time. After a long night, the moment I saw the data displayed on the screen, I shouted I did it to myself. I had finally succeeded in restoring it. I couldn't restore from the backup of the program management system, but I was able to restore from a backup of the server that had been saved by chance. The thought of what would have happened if there hadn't been a server backup sent shivers down my spine. To be honest, I couldn't believe I was able to restore it in such a short time. But more than that, thinking about Miss Smithson being freed from this problem made me feel a sense of accomplishment. And above all, knowing that she could continue her work with peace of mind was the greatest joy for me. Wanting to share that joy, I immediately contacted Miss Smithson. When I called, Miss Smithson's voice was filled with anxiety. "Mr. Smith, what happened?" "It's okay. The data was successfully restored. Your worries are gone now," I told her, and she let out a sigh of relief. "Really? Thank you so much, Mr. Smith." However, the joy was short-lived, as I had to tell Miss Smithson about the existence of the true culprit. "But actually, this trouble doesn't seem to be your fault, Miss Smithson. There's probably a real culprit," I said carefully. "A real culprit? What do you mean?" Her voice was a mixture of confusion and shock. "I don't know the details without investigating, but it seems someone tampered with your computer." When I explained, she fell silent. She was silent for a moment. Then, "Am I really going to be okay?" she asked anxiously. "You'll be fine. The details will probably become clear once we investigate, and I plan to report it to my boss and have the security team help out from now on. So you don't need to worry about anything, Miss Smithson. I'll also contact the senior who helped you yesterday and your boss," I said forcefully. As I prepared to report the true culprit's actions to the company, I fought again. We can allow this kind of wrongdoing. An emergency like this had to be reported to upper management. This was beyond what I could handle alone now. I requested my boss to report this matter to the CEO. My boss also understood the gravity of the situation and immediately decided to report it to the CEO. It was decided that I would report directly to the CEO. The CEO received the report and, with a deep sigh, said, "I see. I understand the situation. It seems Robert is handling it well, which is reassuring. The company will fully back you up. I'll talk to the head of the security team myself. Please continue the investigation and take appropriate measures." Now that the incident had reached the CEO's ears, the company's response became swift. Several days passed since the incident, and the security team and I were immersed in an investigation to identify the true culprit, working day and night. How was the latest program replaced and the backup overridden? We proceeded to closely check the specific operation procedures, logs of the tools used, entry records, and so on. In the process, evidence of wrongdoing became clear, and we keenly felt that we were facing a critical internal issue. The culprit used its position and authority as a system administrator to intrude into Miss Smithson's computer. It seemed to have changed the settings of the program management tool and altered the source from which the latest program was retrieved. Even if she thought she was downloading the latest version, since the source was set to somewhere else, No matter how many times she tried, she couldn't obtain the latest version. Furthermore, the backup settings had also been changed. Normally, backups are set to be managed with a history, but her settings had been changed to overwrite. This is just a guess, but he may have targeted her after learning from the company newsletter that Miss Smithson was a new employee involved in an important project. I knocked on the door of the CEO's office again. "Come in," came the immediate response. Taking a deep breath, I entered the room and began to speak with a serious expression to the CEO sitting in front of me. "Sir, regarding this data deletion incident, as a result of the investigation, we have discovered that Miss Smithson did not delete the data, and in fact, another employee was involved." The CEO listened intently to my story, with a serious expression. "Did you find any concrete evidence?" "Yes, as a result of analyzing the operation logs, the logs of the entry management system, and further, the login records of that employee, we were able to firmly grasp the evidence of his misconduct. And as for their motive, it came to light that he was considering transferring to a rival company. He may have wanted to cause some kind of damage to our company to bring as a gift to their new employer. That's why I think they targeted a new employee who was unfamiliar with the work." The CEO nodded with a grave look and said, "I see. Thank you, Robert. Thanks to you thoroughly investigating the facts, the company will be able to take appropriate action. I appreciate it." "Thank you, sir. I'm relieved that we were able to prove Miss Smithson's innocence and protect the company's trust. I would like to consider improvement measures, including strengthening security measures, to ensure that something like this never happens again." "Indeed, please do so, Robert. I'm leaving this matter entirely in your hands. And please convey my regards to Miss Smithson. I want to apologize on behalf of the company for making her go through anxious days," the CEO said. After ending this conversation and leaving the office, I felt a sense of relief and, at the same time, a definite response that we had taken a step in the right direction for the company. The true culprit was promptly subjected to disciplinary action based on the company's internal regulations. The content included immediate dismissal. Furthermore, considering the damages caused by the culprit's misconduct, procedures for claiming compensation for damages were to be taken. The company also decided to report this misconduct to the police after receiving legal advice. It was also the moment when Miss Smithson's innocence was officially proven. On the day the incident was settled, Miss Smithson came to express her gratitude to me. "Mr. Smith, thank you so much. If it weren't for you, But how were you able to find the real culprit?" Her earnest eyes were fixed on me. In response to that question, I thought for a bit and then began to talk about my past. "Actually, I used to work at a security company as a white hat hacker, but that lifestyle didn't suit me, and I ended up ruining my health. The pay was good, but there was a lot of overtime and working on holidays, and I had almost no private life. Because of that, even my girlfriend at the time got fed up with me." I continued with a wry smile. "I quit the company because I never wanted to experience that again. I wanted ordinary happiness." That's when the CEO of my current company reached out to me. The CEO was my senior at the company I was at before. He appreciated my skills and always looked out for me. The CEO knew about my past and, to prevent me from making the same mistake again, entrusted me with the job of internal IT help desk. He was considerate so that I wouldn't have to bear too much of a burden. When I told her this story, she looked surprised but eventually nodded as if she understood. "So your experience led to solving this case. That's why you helped us." "Yay, that's right. It's because I had that past experience that I was able to respond to this incident. Miss Smithson, I know you had a tough time with this, but by overcoming this, I'm sure you've grown too." Our conversation ended there. But through this experience, I was able to reaffirm something important. Any past shapes the person who overcame it, and that people can always make a fresh start. A few days after the incident was resolved, the release conference for the security program that our company had developed together was finally held. The venue that day was filled with anticipation and tension. However, when the presentation ended, a big round of applause erupted from the venue. Now that it's over, the external reputation is also favorable, and orders are pouring in one after another. This success was truly the result of the efforts of the entire team. Amidst all this, I suddenly received a summons from the CEO. Wondering what it could be about, I headed to the CEO's office, and he said with a big smile, "Robert, since you solved that case, I've been hearing a lot of rumors that your way of looking at things and your approach have changed. Your reputation for leadership and problem-solving skills is rising within the company. So, I want to entrust you with a big role. The security program is selling well, so now I'm thinking of making improvements to pull away from our rival companies. I want you to be the project leader. I also want you to plan a schedule so that everyone doesn't have to overwork themselves. What do you say?" The moment I heard those words, my heart raced. Actually, after that incident where I saved Miss Smithson, the dream I had when I joined the security company had been revived. I had a dream of saving people with my skills. And now, the CEO's proposal was the perfect chance to fulfill that dream. I had run away from the harsh workplace and was protected by working at the help desk thanks to the CEO's arrangements. But now I had the confidence to step back into the limelight and even fulfill my responsibilities as a leader. "Sir, I'm honored to be entrusted with this important role. I'll gladly accept the position of leader," I answered with my chest held high. At that moment, I realized I had taken a step towards a new challenge. Having been appointed as a project leader, I immediately set about selecting members. At the CEO's nomination, Miss Smithson was to join the team. By adding her to this important project, he wanted to give her a chance to grow. Her ability and enthusiasm should be a plus for the team as well. I was happy to have her on board too. Our team started working on improving the security program software and devoted ourselves to research and development every day. Miss Smithson, despite being a newcomer, spared no effort in contributing to this project. Seeing her, I was even more motivated. After 6 months, the improvement project was successfully completed, and when the new security program was released, the market response exceeded expectations. The software we created was featured in numerous media outlets and succeeded in capturing market share from other companies. In response to the better-than-expected sales of the released security software, a celebration was held at the company. The office was filled with a sense of accomplishment and smiles, and the enthusiasm transformed the usually quiet office. Amidst all this, I had the opportunity to give a speech, albeit a little nervously. This success is thanks to each and every member. Without everyone's hard work, these results would not have been possible. I thanked deeply to everyone, turned to the CEO, and continued, "Sir, thank you for always supporting me. I will continue to do my best to repay your kindness." The CEO nodded deeply and grinned at me. After the celebration ended, I participated in the after-party but had to leave early because I had to return to my hometown early the next morning. Even so, it was past 10 p.m. As I was heading to the station alone, I heard a voice call out from behind me, "Mr. Smith, wait a moment. May I join you?" Turning around, I saw Miss Smithson standing there with a slightly flushed face. "Oh, of course. I'm not good at drinking with a lot of people, and I had something to do tomorrow, so I forced myself to leave," she said with a smile. I conveyed to her again the meaning of today's speech. When I said it was thanks to the members today, I was especially referring to you. Your hard work really inspired me. After showing a slightly surprised expression, she replied with a gentle smile, "Thank you for saying that. Hearing that makes all the effort worthwhile. It's thanks to you, Mr. Smith, that I was able to work so hard. You always think about everyone, Mr. Smith, and I think that's really wonderful about you. Every time I see that side of you, I find myself liking you even more," she continued, looking a bit embarrassed. I was intensely shaken by those words. "Miss Smithson, I'm always helped by your kindness too." I tried to appear calm, but my heart was pounding. Did she just say like you even more? Those words of hers kept repeating in my head. "When I'm with you, Mr. Smith, I feel at ease. Somehow, I feel like I can be myself. So, from now on, always." At that moment, something clicked inside me. I stopped and looked into her eyes. And then, I finally conveyed what had been in my heart. Taking the plunge. "Miss Smithson, I like you. I want you to be with me from now on." My true feelings that I couldn't convey because I thought it would negatively impact her work if she was told an unwanted action from me, her leader. This might be unfair, but her words that kept swirling around in my head gave me the push I needed. For a moment, a silence flowed as if time had stopped. After a short pause, Miss Smithson smiled gently and said, "Mr. Smith, me too. When you were teaching me during the new employee training, I only had respect for you, but from the day you saved me, I've always liked you." When I heard those words, my heart was filled with happiness. After that, the path to the station felt as if I was walking in a new world. The air between Miss Smithson and me was completely different from before. The conversation may have been less than usual, but we would occasionally look at each other and smile. When we arrived at the station and boarded the train, it was sparsely populated and quiet, unusual for a Friday night. As I let myself sway with the train, I gently held Miss Smithson's hand. She showed a slightly surprised expression, but it quickly changed to a gentle smile, and she softly held my hand back. The next few years were like a dream. Miss Smith, no, Catherine and I got married and built our ordinary happiness together. At the company, we support each other as a married couple and spend fulfilling days watching each other grow. When I wake up in the morning, there's the warm gaze of my loved one, and at work, I can stand shoulder to shoulder with a trusted partner. I'm truly grateful that these happy days are the ordinary, fulfilling life I once dreamed of. This happiness was gained precisely because we overcame past trials. And I believe that from now on, Catherine and I can overcome any difficulties together. Now that we've achieved the ordinary happiness we dreamed of, we will continue to grow as a married couple and as individuals.